Hello and welcome to the No Mess, No Magic podcast with Monica Hay. I also have a special guest today, my own mom, Stacy Hay. So everybody welcome her. This episode is going to be a hot mess. We're going to be all over the place. So just be aware of that. We are going to talk about art from the perspective of somebody who's 67 and has had a long and beautiful relationship with her art in many forms throughout her lifetime. And so I'm going to hit you with some hard questions.
That sounds good. Okay. And actually, as an artist, I actually go by Stacy Blum-Hay, just because that's my maiden name, and I cherish actually my mom and of course my family and my dad. But my mom was creative in her own right while she was raising us. For a few years, she was, as we were getting a little older, when I turned like 9, 7, well, I would say 8, 9, 10, she was able to paint and do more of her creativity that she wasn't able to do while she was raising all of us.
Yeah.
So I did get to see her do some artwork when she made the time to do it.
Yeah. We also just got back from a long, epic trip. So we're a little tired, and we both got sick, and I'm a little sick. You might even hear it in my voice. So, but this is just showing up in the mess of life. Okay, let's start with your relationship with your art in the beginning. What drew you to art in the beginning of your life?
Probably, I would say my mom.
Your mom?
Yeah. And because I did see her do it, and she was a very generous mom in the sense that she tried to allow all of us kids to do things that inspired us. And my brother, he liked rocks, and she would let him, she would collect, allow him. They would go to rock shops. And
Justin?
Yeah, Justin. And he's a
always
geologist.
Liked rocks?
Always.
Oh, I didn't know that.
My brother Stan always liked little bugs and animals.
Yeah.
He became a zoologist, but he actually ended up being a scientist. Worked at the San Francisco Science Academy, things like that. And so we were very lucky to have a mom that allowed us to pursue our interests.
Yeah.
So that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then as far as art goes, I just thought it was really fun. I loved making things.
Yeah.
That was what I was best at. I was not so good in math, English, science, other kinds of things. So I think that part of me blossomed, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah.
That creativity. It helped me bounce myself out. And I think that was the spark of wanting to be an artist.
Yeah. Yeah, we both suck at math.
Yes.
We're not. And then people are like, well, you can always learn. And I'm like, I don't fucking want to learn. No. I don't care.
Yeah.
Has your relationship to art changed over time? And if so, how has it changed?
I would say as a girl, I wasn't as critical on myself. And as we grow older, we tend to be, like in high school, we start getting probably more critical of ourselves. Some people don't have that, but I did. And also in college, I always enjoyed it. I was very lucky to major in art. I feel that was a very important part of my life. But I think I am now, I'm still critical of myself. And it's something that I just have to move forward with all the time. I have to tell myself, why are you being, hard on yourself?
Yeah.
And
was that something you started when you were in high school, or was it later in life?
it also might have been because we were supposed to always succeed.
Yeah.
We were taught that we had to succeed,
right?
In whatever we did by more like my dad.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was like that. And then my
dad. Was a military dad.
Right.
I mean, he we were his troops.
Yep.
We were supposed to succeed and at whatever we did.
And then my dad, your husband, he was a bit critical, I would say. He was more nitpicky.
Well, he was critical on himself, and then he was also critical of others.
Yeah. And so he would definitely nitpick some of your work, I would say. And sometimes, you know, he was kind of like the manager of the art of the house. You know what I mean? Like he would kind of decide stuff.
He kind of took over.
He did. He did.
He took over space. He took over time. He took over.
He did.
But he was a very driven individual.
Yeah.
And he had to do it. And I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's interesting because it sounds like your critical voice was kind of what changed for you the most over your lifetime. How have you overcome the critical voice?
I think what my process now is, I used to go, oh, why can't I just make this the best I can do it right now? And over time, I realized it's just one step at a time. You look at the work, whatever you're working on, whether it's a painting or a print or some kind of process, mosaic, whatever. I've done lots of different kinds of things. I would say now I know that if I feel like I'm getting a little stuck, I just go, okay, what is bothering me with this right now? What can I fix right at this moment? And then I go, oh, okay, so I can do this. And that leads to the next step. And so I'm not so critical of, well, why can't I get this to work the way, exactly like it should or whatever.
Right.
Why I'm not as critical now. I just know that it's a process.
Yep.
It's much more of a process than I ever thought.
Yep.
And that's what's actually really special is the process of creating, of actually at times you just get into the zone. I love painting sometimes and you just get into the zone, or carving on wood, or you just do it and you get lost in it, and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's kind of like this spark of the universe is going through you.
Yeah, it's interesting because the writers that I talked to would say the exact same thing about when they have a critical voice and they just want it to be good. They want to put it down and have it be right immediately. But they have to accept that the process will get them there. Yes. And it might not look how they expect it to look.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think that's 100%. And that's taken time. And also I had also been a teacher. I actually taught art at a state prison in California. And I think I heard so many of my students, which were all men, they were so critical of themselves. And then I realized, oh my gosh, we don't have to do that. We don't need to be critical. I say, just do one step at a time. And they had probably, had been criticized, or, they'd made some major mistakes to land them in prison to begin with. And so they were very critical. And that was one thing I tried to teach them, which actually taught me.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like teaching other people has taught me as well. Yeah. So I have to ask you about some of the sacrifices you've made, because you made a lot, right? You were mom, and you made sacrifices also for dad, because my dad, most of you won't know, but he was very ill for a long time. So you spent a lot of your life taking care of other people. How did that impact your art?
I would say that this is what would happen to me. I would get to a critical crisis point of needing to create. Otherwise, I'm a fucking bitch. And so it's true. And so I I I really would get to that point where I would feel it inside of me, like I have to do some artwork. Otherwise, and I actually feel that right now.
Because we were on the trip and we didn't have any.
And I've been in construction mode of my space and our living space and things like that. So I haven't been able to be at all as creative as I'd like to be. And so it's kind of, you get to a point, it's like, no, I better do this or I'm not going to be okay. I need to get those feelings out. I need to get those emotions out. I need to create. And it is therapy for me.
Yeah.
And I will say, when I did work at the prison, I was raising a family and I was taking care of your dad off and on, depending on what was going on. There were times where it's like, then when I did create, it had to be like in a fury way. It was much more released, more of a release and not so much of a process because I had to do it. I needed emotionally to get it out.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know that.
And to get out the pent up whatever angst I was dealing with.
Yeah.
Things that, because it was a difficult place to work. Then your dad had some, he had PTSD from being a Vietnam veteran, things like that. And so that's, I would, actually some of the best things were monotype printmaking.
Yeah.
And that was a really good way for me to release that energy.
Yeah. And then you made some art. I remember your old boss who was awful to you.
Oh,
you make some art about that. And it always made you feel a lot better.
Oh, man. Let it go. Let all that angst go. Work it out. I made my boss pretty funny.
You did. You did.
And it was, he made my life miserable at work.
Right.
And then I took that home and I think about it all the time. It was really bugging me. And then I realized, you know what? I need to make some artwork about this.
Yeah.
And it made me feel so much better.
Yeah. Don't piss off artists or writers because they'll put
absolutely
they'll put you in their work. What did that feel like at the time versus how you see it now when it comes to taking care of others and how you made art throughout that time in your life?
It was more of I wasn't so nitpicky. I just had to create. I say I'm a little bit more process oriented now, but I love the process of getting into the zone of doing certain kinds of repetitive things that make it come to fruition. It's a different kind of process in some ways.
Yeah, how did it change between when you retired or before you retired and after you retired?
I would say it was had to be more fast. It had to be more spontaneous because I didn't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
But when I did retire from that job, because actually the arts position was cut during all the budget cuts, so I had to switch over to another job, which was very intense. And I actually couldn't, because the job required me to be very analytical, it was really hard for me to make creative. I didn't paint during that time. I only did monoprints because I really didn't have it in me to do it. And as soon as I retired, then I could get back to painting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you were working at the counselor job, you had to be analytical. What was it that made it so that you couldn't? So you said it was analytical. What else was it that made it so you couldn't really paint? Was it just that because we were working on the rock garden?
Yes, I was working on the rock garden. I was moving tons of rocks with my husband, who had to create this beautiful, incredible rock garden. So we moved tons of rocks, and then he built these sculptures, and I helped mix up concrete and mortar and wash off rocks. And I mean, I love rocks, so it's not like I don't. I think they're fabulous. They're the earth. They're they're grounding. But when I was a counselor, I had to just make monotype prints, and I actually didn't make very many that I was really happy with the final ending of it. Mm-hmm. So in the end, I ended up cutting a lot of those up and making collages with them into other pieces that I really love. Yeah. So it was just a process, part of the process.
Part of the process.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of your process throughout your life was helping Dad with his process.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I don't.
He always wrangled me in somehow. But he was always doing something very creative and new, like paper making, or we get into making mosaics, or we get into casting the tables, and I'd help him. He would cut all the pieces of granite or marble and put a design, and then I'd help him cast them. I was mixing the concrete. Yeah. All these different things. So I learned.
You learned some cool stuff. But yeah, it made it so that you were doing what he was into a little bit more than what you wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, do you ever wish that you'd, been like put your foot down and said, I'm going to go make my own art today?
Yeah.
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 Yeah. But you were, you're a go with the flow person.
I am.
Yeah. And that can be a blessing and a curse.
Right. And I tend to not want to create negativity.
Conflict.
Or conflict, yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'll and I was raised in a military family. My mom was very subservient to my dad, and that's how I was raised.
Right.
And so it's taken me a long time. And actually, I think one of the reasons why I ended up working at the prison is because I had to be a stronger person, and I had to deal with lots of people in authority, and then I was able to do that.
Yeah.
And I was able to work through some of that process.
Yeah.
I guess life teaches us lots of lessons.
I know. Sometimes I'm like, why isn't it just sunshine and rainbows? So, did you ever grieve a version of your life where art came first when you were younger?
It's been very interesting because since my husband and your dad has passed away, I've met a new artist, my partner, and he sacrificed having a family so that he could be an artist.
Right.
So it's very interesting to see. Our dynamics are so different. I really didn't make a living as an artist, even though I did make a living as being a teaching art for over, I don't know, a lot of years. Altogether, I think it was a good 26 years or something. Yeah. Some of it was just part-time. But I did work at the prison full-time for 26 years, and 17 of those years were full-time as I was running an arts program.
Yeah.
And I was also teaching visual art. It's a very different path when you have children.
Yeah.
I even have stepchildren from his prior marriage that we helped raise. And so it was a lot.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for the lessons I have learned. But I also wish I had been a little bit more aggressive in my need for being creative.
Yeah. Well, I always tell my clients, have art dates with your kids.
Yes.
Like,
you're right.
Like I could write a little short story with you when I was 10, and you could paint.
Right.
Or something like that.
That's absolutely true.
Yep.
Yeah. I think we should have. Looking back, I wish I'd done that more, but we did. We did do some paper making. We did do ceramics. We did do, some, like with Garen, we did do some print making and things like that.
Yeah.
But I should have done it more. I look back and there are some regrets on that aspect of it. And it's partially because your dad was extremely needy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some of the wisdom. So if you could go back, is there anything you would do differently when it comes to your art? Whether that's type of art you would make or what you would do with your time that you're making art, things like that. What would you have done?
I think I would have been, I wish I had been better at my time management.
Okay. What do you mean?
Make time to do, this is my day or my hours, whatever it was, instead of frivolous things.
Right.
I wish I had really sat down and just done it. Or, you know, I mean, I did do a lot because I helped your dad do a lot of his things.
Yeah. You were kind of the manual labor behind a lot of the work that Dad did.
Yes. Yeah. I worked alongside him. Yeah. And so I helped him. And I'm grateful for that. I mean, he did create some awesome things. Yeah. But it wasn't necessarily my vision.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So and that's somewhat regretting, but at the same time, I learned a lot. So, yeah. And we were very lucky that we were able to work together at points in time at the prison. So we were really good role models within the prison system because we did work together so well. Yeah. That we helped them make some wonderful projects.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And so I really feel that we were really good role models because a lot of the students and the incarcerated that I worked with had come from very difficult families that didn't, or one or the other family member, you know, there wasn't a dad or a mom or whatever.
There wasn't any help or support.
Yeah. And so I think we were really good role models that way because we did really do some awesome things. A lot of a lot of really good projects. Yeah. Community projects and things.
What would you have cut out? You mentioned frivolous stuff. What would you have tried to stop doing?
I would say turn off the TV because your dad liked the noise.
He did.
He liked the noise of the TV, but I get sucked into it.
Yeah, I get very distracted by it.
Very distracted.
Well, we're ADHD. He wasn't ADHD.
He wasn't ADHD.
No.
And so he wondered why I get sucked into it, but it was like, well, it's on. So I don't have a TV anymore. I don't have a TV.
Fuck yeah.
And I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch it.
No.
And I don't, if I want to stream something, then I can.
Right.
But I don't have it on ever.
Right.
And so now it's just music.
Now it's just music.
And usually it's music that doesn't have lyrics. I love world music that I don't understand what's going on because then it doesn't distract me.
Well, it's very peaceful not knowing what the fuck is going on in music.
Yeah.
It's like living in the Netherlands. I speak some Dutch, but most of the time I don't know what the fuck people are talking about. It's actually very peaceful.
Right, because you don't know. So I listen to a lot of African music and Brazilian. I don't know. Just a whole range of music where I don't know what the words are, what they're saying at all, and it's lovely.
Yep. Yeah. So, what do you wish someone had told you about being an artist while also building your family and caring for others?
I don't know if anybody really could have told me anything. I think you have to actually experience it. I really didn't. You know, life happens. Yeah. You know, and I fell in love with your dad, and I went that direction. He already had 3 kids. And
you were young.
I was young. And I thought I knew everything.
Well, you had traveled the world many times.
Yeah, because my dad had been in the military. And he was stationed overseas, so I was very lucky to travel at a young age. So I thought I was worldly, but I really didn't know about relationships. Yeah.
He was your first serious relationship, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but anyway, I don't regret it because I have you and I have your brother and I have all my stepkids and I'm very grateful for what life has taught me and has given me. I take it all in and I cannot complain. I'm actually very privileged. Yeah. I've had a college education. I have a home. I have lots of things that a lot of people don't have.
Right.
We have running water. We have food. We have food on the table, things like that.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And what does it actually look like? Like, if you had taken more time to make more art when you were, working and stuff, would it just been a bit like 5 to 10 minutes a day? Just show up?
I think it would have. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, little bits. Little bits. Now I actually have these little sketchbooks that I try to do some in every so often, just like almost every day.
Yeah.
And just keeping it going.
Right.
Just doing it.
The momentum.
Yeah. A little bit at a time. And I think that builds on itself.
Right. Yeah, because if you lose the momentum, it feels harder to go back to it. Right. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm curious, because you worked with so many people at the prison. Why do you think so many people lose touch with their creativity?
I know for me at the prison, I noticed, everybody's always creative, no matter what doesn't matter what they're making, in a sense that whether they used to be able to smoke in prison, so they would have these little bugler, things, and they would make things out of them, little frames or, craft things. We were trying to push more of the fine art kind of work, but, everybody, I think everybody should be creative. And I think a lot of the guys that came through our program maybe had fallen through the cracks a lot.
Yep.
Especially in school. They didn't get the help that they needed.
Yeah.
And so school became negative.
Right.
And so I feel that everybody should have art, all the way from preschool to old folks' homes or whatever. It needs to be the whole spectrum. Everybody needs to be creative in whatever they can do at the time.
Yeah.
I've had guys make incredible stuff out of absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Cardboard, whatever they can get their hands on. And it's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And I think that it's important for all of us. Yeah. And I think that we have a lot of lost souls that when they are able to create, it brings real joy.
Yeah. It does.
It does.
It does. I think when I was, I used to write all the time. I wasn't critical of it at all. And then I think college was where I started getting really critical. And I talk a lot of shit about the education system because there are a lot of things to say about it. A lot of things that need to be worked on. I am very grateful I have an education. I'm very grateful for my education experience. But my college experience did made my perfectionism so much worse.
Yes.
And I've had to unlearn a lot of the lessons to be a novelist and to be a fiction writer that I learned from college. I've had to learn how to let myself write without worrying about what people think. I've had to learn how to write creatively again, which I knew when I was younger. It just came to me.
It did.
And
always. Then... Even when she was little, she would make a big whopper story.
And it's funny because I remember I would see it in my head, so I thought it was real. That's what was happening. I would see these stories in my head, in my imagination, so I thought, oh, that's happening. And so I would just tell the story because it was a story that was going on in my own head. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that was not happening. I was like, oh, this is what happened. And it wasn't actually happening in real life. But, I had to learn how to be creative again. I'm still learning how to be creative after college. I think a lot of my clients think oh, I didn't study literature. I didn't study these things, so I can't do it. And I'm like, if anything, it's better that you didn't study it. Because if you study the quote unquote masters, then you're going to compare yourself to them a lot, which some people can have a relatively good relationship with studying the masters and working toward that. But for me, it just made me read them, and either I wouldn't like it, or I would just think I could never do this, or you end up in this kind of situation where most of what you're writing now isn't meant to sound like Jane Eyre, right? Like, it's 2026. And that was a piece that was written a very long time ago. What's getting published now is nothing like that. And I wish I had been like, oh, I want to be a fantasy writer. I'll just study fantasy books and write and practice and write some shitty shit so I can get better. Right. But I think a lot of people, they think they need permission to be creative. And you fucking don't.
Yeah.
You don't need permission.
No, you don't. You can just go for it.
You don't need the fucking gatekeepers to tell you can do it. You don't need a fucking college degree to tell you can do it. You can just do it.
Yeah. But I think college educations are very important, personally.
I don't think it is.
but that's just me.
Well, you grew up in a time when college wasn't as expensive.
No, it wasn't.
And it wasn't.
No.
And nowadays, it's obviously more pricey, at least in the U.S.
In the U.S., it's toxic because of how it's so expensive, and it should never be this expensive. And our, I think it changed in 1987. Or
you guys had already graduated.
Yeah. Or even before that, a little bit. So I think that it's wrong.
Yeah.
That we should have all this college debt. It's not correct. We should all be moving all of us forward because as a society, we can't move forward unless people are educated. Everybody needs an education.
But then at the same time, you don't.
But it doesn't. There's a lot of things that can beat education.
Yes,
whether it's a trade school or whatever it is that interests you.
Yes.
That should be available to everybody.
Exactly.
And what you're good at is promote that, and to allow people should be allowed to have that education to help them, if you want to be an electrician or a plumber or whatever it is that you like to do.
Yeah.
And make a living that can help our society as a whole.
Yeah. Well, I think it's interesting because when I studied, I often wish I had just studied creative writing.
Oh.
Because what I did, and I posted about this on Instagram maybe a month ago now. I did what I thought would be impressive. Because all my life I was a dumb kid. I wasn't necessarily like the worst, but I had issues in my education. You guys had me tested. Well, I can't remember what grade I was.
6th grade.
6th grade. And I wasn't diagnosed with anything at the time. But I was not the smartest kid on the block.
Well, you just had to learn a different way, and the school wasn't teaching all of the different ways that people need to learn.
No.
And hopefully they're getting better at that.
Yeah.
But I doubt it with what's going on with our current
we
place.
Won't go into that.
Never mind.
You can go on a rage about what's going on in the U.S.
Now. I would say that comes from my great grandmother, who was a women's suffragette and got women. She helped get us the right to vote. Yeah. And then she went around the world for women's rights.
Yeah.
And so I feel like I have that in me, that we should all want to help everybody thrive. Everybody thrive.
Everybody.
And there is no reason why that shouldn't be the case.
No. Exactly. What were we talking about before? Oh my God. What were we talking about? Well, I was saying that, I had studied English literature, but it was because I had been made to feel stupid all my life. Not from you guys. You guys were wonderful. But my peers, the education system in general, and I was often just seen as not smart enough, made fun of. I was bullied a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
And then finally, when I started blossoming in college and I got accepted to Berkeley, it was like suddenly people took me seriously and people looked at me with respect. And that was very addictive. For some people, they don't care what people think of them. But I fucking do care, which I hate. I hate that I care. And so suddenly being respected, just saying, oh, I go to this certain college, made people look at me like I was smart. And so I chose that instead of studying creative writing at a different college, because that wouldn't have been as prestigious. Mm-hmm. And I chased that more than I chased what I actually wanted to do.
Well, I think it was you thought that you would learn that there.
Yeah.
I think that's, we think that sometimes we're going to get a different lesson than we actually do.
Right.
And so maybe it's not, you didn't get what you really needed, mm-hmm. but I think you also got a foundation that was good, but it was somewhat different
from what I wanted.
What you wanted.
Yeah.
And maybe a different school would have been better for you.
Or if they had a creative writing program there,
which they didn't.
They had one, but you had to apply for it, and I wasn't interested in it because I was writing fucking fantasy novels, and a lot of programs. I don't know if you know this as much, but a lot of English literature programs and creative writing programs are fucking assholes toward genre literature. Yes. They're just fucking assholes. Like Sarah J. Maas, who you don't know, but is very big in the fantasy community. She was talking on a podcast recently about how she had an interview with an MFA program, and when she said she wrote fantasy, the director went,
"Oh, put a gag."
Yeah, acted like she was gagging, which is just fucking disgusting. That's just not okay behavior to do in an interview for an MFA. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the reasons I wasn't interested in doing creative writing, because I didn't want to be told, you can't write this because it's not real literature. And so in some ways, that was kind of the reason I chose not to study it there, because I didn't think that what I wrote would be accepted.
Yeah.
And that's kind of still the case. I wrote a piece about why romantasy is valid, and I got people telling me, grow the fuck up, and it's all, fantasy smut and porn, and all these just idiots in my comments just saying the most fucking absurd things.
Well, I think that your writing is probably way more creative than a lot of the other writing.
John, I'm going to have you lead that part. I think all writing is wonderful.
Yes, absolutely.
And that people should write whatever they want. But don't poo-poo on other people's shit.
Yeah, but for art too. I mean, we can be very critical of other artists and what they do.
And it's just not for you.
And I think that our society tends to be very, well, especially in America, we're very judgmental.
Yeah.
Probably because of capitalism. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly why we're so judgmental.
Yeah, I don't get it. I've thought about this a lot.
Yeah.
I've thought about why, because when I was studying at Berkeley, I would say I'm studying English Lit, and people would say, well, how are you going to get a job? That was the first thing most people would ask me. I got to the point where I just said, if they said, what are you going to do with your degree? I said I was just going to hang on the wall. Because I was so sick of answering that question. And I think society doesn't treat artists like they're real.
Oh, yeah. Well, also, there are other countries that actually
fucking respect them.
Yes, actually respect artists. They actually think of them as national treasures.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sad to say that America doesn't.
Not at all.
But that's not everybody.
Right.
I don't want to generalize, because there are some incredibly brilliant people all over America that are doing really incredibly creative things.
Yeah.
So I look all the time and I am just like, oh my God, this is wonderful.
Yeah.
And so we just have to focus on that.
I know.
And not be so negative about, it's hard when we've had our experiences that have been negative towards us.
Right.
But at the same time, I want to turn it around and go, okay, we know America has allowed a lot of creativity, and a lot more so than in other places around the world.
Right.
And so I don't want to keep bashing America, because We've been allowed to have a lot of freedoms that a lot of people don't have.
That's true. It's true.
You know, so I am very grateful for where I've come from, and I'm hoping to move all of us forward. If each of us is doing that the best they can, then, you know, more power to us in the creativity.
Yeah.
Because it's everywhere in so many things that we do.
Right.
You know, so many people are incredibly creative, and it's fun. I just love artists and musicians and writers and theater people and
all of it.
All of it. You know, because there's some awesome things happening.
Yeah, we went to flamenco dancing. We were in Barcelona. It was incredible. It was beautiful.
And the music nowadays, and just so many different things, and the theater, and I mean, it's pretty amazing.
It is amazing.
Yeah.
Let me ask. Let's switch some gears. So, what was it like raising a daughter who also became a creative? Obviously, I'm a writer. You're a visual artist, so it's a bit different.
I would say I'm so grateful because I am not a writer at all. And I'm very grateful that you are and that you're thriving. And so I'm so glad about people being creative, because I think I think that comes from within us. It's in our soul. It feeds us. It's art feeds the soul, whatever art you do. It's whether it's visual, literary, media, performance, all of it.
Yeah. And
so I think that feeds us. I think that as humans, that we come together. It creates community. It creates bonds. It creates sharing the love of being human.
Mm-hmm. Well, also you have a son who's also a writer, which is really funny. You've got two writers.
Yeah, and I'm not at all. And you're so different in how you
we are different.
So different in your perspective. So I really feel that you know, you're both doing wonderful work, and I'm so glad that you're helping others. I think that's awesome, because I feel that very good about what I've done to help other people. I think that's been an important part of my life. I look back at it now and go, oh yeah, I did help a lot of people be creative and encourage them to do that.
Yeah.
Where I had someone, he goes, you know, he won a first prize for one of his pieces that he done, and he sent the ribbon home to his mom, and he said it was the first time she'd ever said that she was proud of him.
Oh.
You know, those kinds of things, those kinds of stories where they, people can give back.
Yeah, I love that.
So I enjoy being able to do that, and now I get to be more, giving myself.
Yes, giving it back to yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I'm super grateful about that.
Yeah. Did you ever worry about me being creative or choosing a creative path?
Well, I have faith. I do. I have faith actually in the creative process. I think that you've done a fabulous job building a career, doing your writing, teaching others, and really helping a lot of people. And so I'm super proud of you. And I don't, I was just, you have to do what's in your heart.
Yeah.
In your soul.
Yeah. But you chose the kind of path of making sure that we were stable in a lot of ways.
Well, that's partially because I didn't like not being stable.
Yeah, I don't like it either.
I didn't like not having that regular income coming in. I felt I really liked having a regular paycheck.
Yeah, I get it. Trust me.
And I'm so grateful I was able to do that job.
For that long. Yeah, because you were an artist facilitator for 17 years, and then you had to switch to being a counselor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, and I'm so grateful that they had that job. Now it's
probably not there.
It's a very different program. It's not what it used to be. It was incredible. The stuff that we were able to accomplish was wonderful. And now, actually, luckily, some of the students from that program are now going back in and teaching. They've gotten out, and now they're out in the real world, and and a lot of these some of the contractors are contracting them to go back in and teach, and it's wonderful.
That's really cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Like a full circle.
Yeah, full circle. I love that.
But they do need to put more, I think, all the way across the board, they need to put more money into the arts. Yep. But that's just my personal opinion.
Many people's opinion, but I don't think the billionaires agree.
No, I think it's some people don't believe in the arts so much, and it's sad.
What I see a lot is people are called to a creative path and they reject it so that they can make money and go do a real job, quote unquote. And then they become bitter assholes. And then they don't want to put money into the arts because they didn't get to do that for themselves.
Right.
And so they just continue this like agenda of let's not put money into the arts because I didn't get to do that, so you don't get to do that.
Yeah.
And it's just that mindset of people not wanting to make lives better for other people because they didn't get it.
Yeah.
Which is
but
something that happens.
hopefully they are going to theater programs. Hopefully they're going to music. Hopefully they're, spending their money doing that.
Yeah.
So we just have to be creative about it. But overall, we need art all the way from,
art.
Art. Preschool to when people, their last parts of their life. I think it's so
art is
important.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Art is literally everywhere. All those books that I have, an artist made them, writers made them.
And I have all sorts of artwork.
Yeah. I always get shit from people saying, you have so many books. I'm like, yeah, this is what I like.
Yeah.
And you have a lot of art.
I do.
You took a lot of pictures of art on our trip.
Oh my gosh. Yes. I did. And because it's, I love creative people. And I love to see what they come up with. And everybody sees things in a different way, a little bit, and it's what's a wonderful thing.
It is. I heard somebody. It was some famous writer. I can't remember their name, but they said that our voice, our artist's voice, is like our little fingerprint, our artist's fingerprint, which I really love.
Yeah, because that everybody's individual.
Everybody's different.
Yeah, and that's so important.
What did you see, or what do you see in me that reminds you of yourself?
That's a good question. I think tenacity. Intention. I think those type of things that are you are very focused, and I think I am too in a lot of, but I'm more spread out because I've had to deal with family.
Yeah.
But I think those are qualities we both have.
Yeah.
And we are creative.
Yeah.
So, and we spread that around.
We do.
Which I think is wonderful.
I think it is too. Is there anything that you hope I do differently than what you did?
Well, you're already doing it. I had 5 kids that I was helping to support
by this time.
Yeah.
And
in your life,
and I'm child free, and I moved across the world.
Yeah, and I'm excited for you. I'm happy that you're exploring other avenues. Seeing other places, seeing other cultures.
Yeah.
I think it's so important for all of us to get out of our own little bubbles.
Yes.
But some people have to stay in their bubbles because that's where they feel safe or whatever. But
you didn't ever have a bubble because you were.
No.
When was the first time you moved to different places?
When I was 11. I was around America. We moved around every 1 to 3 years.
Right.
Depending on what my dad was up to. And the first time was when I was 11, right when I turned 11, we moved to Portugal.
Yeah.
And I was so grateful. I spent 3 years there, and that was awesome. And then I got to spend 3 years in Iran, Tehran, Iran. and I graduated from high school there, Tehran American School. I'm very grateful for that experience. It gave me a whole different perspective on the world.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't in my little, I mean, I'm grateful that I had a suburb home and all that.
Yeah.
But it really made me realize how privileged I was. And it also gave me a totally different perspective on different cultures and how everybody's raised differently.
Yep.
But we're all humans, and we all want the same things. We all want our family. We want to feed them. We want to house them. We want to take care of them. We love our families, and we just want the best.
Yeah.
For all of our neighbors.
Yeah.
You know,
for the
for
world,
our communities.
For our community. Yeah.
Yeah. We want to, you know, so I think that that's an important lesson that I learned at a young age.
Yeah, because you were 17 when you left, and then you traveled around at 18 all over Europe with your friends, right?
No, I was 17.
You were 17.
I was in the middle of being 17 when we traveled around.
Okay.
And then I got on the way back to the U.S. When I left Iran, I actually went through Southeast Asia.
Okay.
And that was by myself. So,
wow.
Yeah.
How long were you there by yourself?
I think 6 weeks.
Okay.
I traveled around. And you always meet up with other travelers. And then you find out that there are wonderful people all
everywhere
over the world.
Yeah.
And there's wonderful, it's just, we're all on this little planet together, and it's pretty awesome.
That's the thing I love about travel, is that other travelers, you realize that they're good people, and that most people are generally good.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And here I worked at a prison, but a lot of them were great.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of them were great people, just made a mistake, you know, things like that.
You know, our system wasn't working in the correct way. Putting too many people in the pipeline for prison.
We won't get into that, but yes.
Yeah, we won't get into that. But in reality, there are wonderful people everywhere.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
What do you want from me, and also my brother and my siblings as artists?
Oh, I want you to be able to not have to worry about making a living.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think I wish that you can be as creative as you would like to, and you know, and you are.
Yeah.
And you are making a living at it, which I'm very grateful for. And I think I wish our society was a little bit more supportive of the arts, because I think then it would be easier. And it's not like you're not working. You're working, and your brother is working.
Yep.
And you know, we're actually giving hope to our society. Like being a poet. Oh man, I wish I could remember the quote. Alice Briggs. Oh, you know, to be a poet, and to even when life is tough or something, you just to love life and to, you know, express that through your art, to help others.
Yeah.
To be able to help others, you know, feel that connection.
Yeah.
I think that's what I like the most.
Yeah. I love that. Let's do some rapid fire questions. So
okay.
I don't know if these are going to be rapid fire. Okay. We'll probably talk, but let's try to make them rapid fire. What's your favorite medium to work in?
I love to paint.
Painting.
But I also really love to do 3-dimensional. I like to cut wood. I like to make like shapes out of wood and then put them together and paint them so it's more of a relief work. That's what I'm liking. And maybe I'll even get into sculpture, but I haven't really done that so much.
Yeah.
But I love painting.
Yeah.
But I also love cutting wood. So I think both of those together works really well.
Yeah. Well, your partner makes massive sculptures.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like really cool.
Stone and glass.
Really beautiful, massive sculptures, which is pretty cool. Yeah. And so you're like, oh, I want to try that. What's one piece you've made that stayed with you?
I would say the pieces that are cut out of wood and painted, and that's what I really enjoy.
Yeah.
I'm finding that. And also, I would say actually, it's a piece I haven't finished. So
okay.
The ghost ship fire painting that I have not finished, but I hope to do that in the next couple of years.
Yeah, there's a story behind that.
Yes.
So how many people?
36 people died in that Oakland fire, the ghost ship fire, and I started a big 6-foot by 9-foot painting, but I had to put it on hold for construction.
Yeah,
because you moved 4 years.
You moved into your studio.
Yes,
and you've had to put. Yeah,
I've had to do a lot of construction work in the last 4 years, so I had to put that on hold. But
that's kind of an art in itself, the construction work.
It is. Yeah, because we've done it in a very creative way.
Yeah. Yeah. So messy studio or clean studio?
Well, I would say both because you have to have, sometimes it ends up being messy in the process. Yes. And then you clean it up and then you do the next piece. Or, so I would say both. Sometimes I really like to be more organized, and some things, that's why it's been harder to paint is because things are messy with construction.
Right.
And so now I'm doing more wood carving because then I can just put it down and then get back to it. And I don't have to worry about the dust. I don't have to worry about getting my paint is drying, or I'm getting all the stuff in the paint. Do
you ever use those containers?
I do. All the time.
Good.
I do.
That's so funny. I had these, if you ever have gotten a meal subscription service, back when we had big boy jobs, my husband and I, and we made more money, we would get Purple Carrot, and they came with a lot of plastic containers. And the first time I got it, I thought, oh, my mom could put paint in these.
Oh, absolutely.
And so I saved them all.
And I use them all the time.
Which is great. I'm glad you've used them.
Oh, yeah.
Because you can just put paint in it and then screw the lid on.
And then it doesn't dry out, and it's for all sorts of, the glue, all sorts of things.
I love it.
Yeah.
I'm glad I kept them.
Yes.
Music or silence while creating?
I usually, sometimes I just get into the zone when I'm doing my woodworking because I had headphones on, and I'm still working with that. But usually I do have some music on.
Okay.
And that really can vary depending on my mood and what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. What's something small that always sparks your creativity?
Something small. Well, I would say when I look at other artists' work, that always reminds me or sparks me to go, oh yeah, I need to just be creative.
Yeah. Is that why you like museums so much? Yeah. Seeing all these other people and how they do things.
Yeah. And I always go every month, both actually in Sonora where I used to live and now in Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. We always have art hop or art walk where all the galleries are open, and I always go to see all my friends' works. Yeah. And that is also wonderful.
Yeah.
Because I get to see what they're doing, and we all get together and share.
That's one of the things that writers don't have as much is we don't, you're not just bringing your manuscript to your friend and being like, enjoy this. Like it's just different. It's a different medium. And so I always wish that
the buddy system that you've come up with.
The buddy system, yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons I created it, so that we can support each other. People can support each other in their process. Because for visual art, it's very different, right? You can show a painting and people can look at a painting versus if you're writing a book, it's going to take hours to read that book, and it's going to take probably a long time to even get the book into a finished product and have it be bound. And so I do kind of wish that writers have more of the ability to share their process and share their art.
That's true. I never even, I didn't really think about that.
I mean, we have pros and cons, right? Because when I moved abroad, all I had to do was have a laptop with me.
That's true.
Whereas you have all this art creative stuff, in these huge sculptures.
Well, I will say, we do have, in both communities, they've always had either a writing group or they have poetry.
Yeah.
Every month. I think the first week of the month in Truth or Consequences, they always have you can share some of your writing, whether it's, you have so many minutes and you can share parts or whole pieces depending on what you're doing.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. I think awesome. That's awesome. That's an awesome
I don't
thing
want
to
to share my work. That's the problem. I just want to be around people and create at the same time. Like I want to write with other people, but sometimes I want to read it out loud, but sometimes I don't want to read it. Sometimes I want to just keep it to myself.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to work on that. But okay, so this is my closing question. If someone listening feels like they put their creativity on hold, what would you say to them?
Don't put your creativity on hold. At least whatever little bit you can do, as much as you can.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah, because you were taking care of Dad 24/7 for the most part. For how long?
Oh, good 3
or 4 years.
Yeah. And there were times when, sitting in the hospital, I was working on sketchbooks.
Yeah.
Because I needed to.
Right.
And things like that,
Yeah.
But a lot of times I did kind of put it on hold, probably a little too much.
And what would you have done in those times? Would you have just...
I think work on the sketchbook
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things like that to get those ideas out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't put it on hold.
Don't put it on hold. Just keep doing it.
What do you wish somebody had told you when you were...
Just keep doing it.
Just keep doing it.
Yeah. Just don't worry about a finished product. Don't worry about that, that whole painting that's finished. Just do what you can do at the moment.
Right.
And I think that's really important.
Were you always worried about trying to get a finished product when you made art before?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it because of how your dad treated you, like do a good job and like you have to succeed?
Well, partially, and maybe preconceptions in my own preconceptions of what art was supposed to be.
Yeah.
And now that I look at, you go to all these museums, they have a lot of sketchbooks of all these people who've done all this sketch work, and I'm going, why did I
stop myself from doing that?
Yeah. Why didn't I always have it with me?
Yeah.
And that was part of the thing, is not having it with me all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you always carry a sketchbook now?
Yeah, I do.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. It was a lot less chaotic than I was expecting.
Well,
it's funny, talking to you in normal life, you're much more chaotic than when you get in front of a microphone.
Really?
You're much more focused in your answers in the microphone.
That's funny. Well, maybe it's because I don't have any other distractions around me.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Because I get very distracted.
Well, you're
by
ADHD like I am. You gave it to me.
Yes. Yes. And I agree. And it was a struggle for me in school.
Yeah.
And so I always thought I was the dumb kid and all that kind of stuff. So art was my savior.
Your salvation, kind of.
Yeah, it was my salvation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, love you, Mommy.
I love you too. And we're very grateful to be here together.
Yeah, this was a gift.
Yes.
Yes.
It is.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for
guys.
listening. Yes, yes.
After the interview wrapped up, I got a text from my mom that I really wanted to share with you guys before I completely wrapped up this podcast. And I wanted to just read it out to you because I thought it was really interesting insight. She said, "Thank you for interviewing me. I wish I had expanded on one question. I would say that my job as a counselor was so overwhelming that I could not make a decision. And when I got home, I was too tired to think. You'll probably understand that from your work as a social worker. If the grocery store clerk asked me if I wanted paper or plastic, it was even hard for me to make that decision. And so your dad basically made the decisions and put me to work." And I think it's a really interesting insight that a lot of times we put decisions into somebody else's hands, for better or for worse. That's not always a bad thing. I know that there are some people out there who have people like choose their outfits for the day and all these different things because we can only make so many decisions in one day. But I wanted to add that before we officially wrap up. I hope that you enjoyed this interview. I know I did. I'm probably going to cherish it forever. And I hope to see you in another episode soon. Thanks for listening.